forecast for Sunday, October 22nd. So today we do have the moon in Capricorn going void, of course, at 2:02 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to sit in that void for 5 minutes, and then we're going to lock into Aquarius energy at 2:07 a.m. again, Eastern Standard Time. What I love about this is, of course, the transition from Capricorn energy to Aquarius energy is always a welcome one. We're coming out of the grounded, earthy perspective and weight of that Capricorn energy. Typically speaking, we're in to-do mode in that Capricorn energy, and we become very aware of problems, of issues, of obstacles, of challenges, of struggles. And in the Aquarian energy, of course, it's an air energy, so we get a lighter vibe. We're a little bit more in observer mode than we were in that Capricorn energy, but we also are in problem-solving mode. So we take the problems that we've identified while the moon was in Capricorn, and now we start kind of pushing the boundaries of where it is that we could do things differently, where we can improve, where we can kind of get better at some of the systems, the structures, the routines, the tasks, the chores that obviously need a little bit of work. We love the moon in Aquarius because it allows us to emotionally detach, to act as the observer so that our emotions aren't really influencing what it is that we're seeing. It's not skewing the lens, so to speak. And I think it's a very interesting dynamic that we are moving into this moon in Aquarius energy, just as we are exploring the very last degrees of the sun being in Libra season. Of course, we have Mercury shifting out of that Libran energy into Scorpio waters here today, and we will have the moon in Aquarius as the sun enters into Scorpio season here tomorrow as well. So I think that's a very interesting dynamic to consider because, of course, the Scorpio energy is very deep, very intense, very emotional, very intuitive. And to have the ability to kind of emotionally detach while we're doing a deep dive in our subconscious realm, I think is a very interesting energy for us to act as the observer, for us to have some profound moments of epiphanies, of insights that are totally going to change the game for us. So it is definitely going to be a welcome shift just with the moon alone, but again, a welcome shift that Mercury is moving out of this Libran energy here today and shifting into Scorpio energy. So with all that being said, there are 13 different aspects here today, and 8 of them are going to involve the moon. Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, who is in Virgo energy right now, an earth sign ruled over by Mercury. We're trying to get our heart and our head in alignment, in agreement, but Venus in this Virgo energy is, typically speaking, trying to fix, repair, resolve, heal some particular issues that we've been very discombobulated over. Of course, this Virgo energy lends us more of an analytical type of perspective into our heart space, into our emotions, and really providing us with an opportunity to make the smaller adjustments, if you will, to our physical realm, to start kind of weeding out the things that we've already identified are not supporting us, not making us feel happy or safe or secure, and of course, clearing that space in order for us to build something new. Well, Venus is going to trine, which is a beautiful interaction, with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings, who is retrograde in Taurus energy. So we get this trine because Virgo energy and Taurus energy, they're both earth energies. And so there's a gentle nudge, a harmonization, if you will, on some real good insight that we've been doing. We've been exploring our inner realms, really doing a deep dive in our heart space, trying to figure out who and what makes us happy. There's a huge amount of growth, which means that there's some clarity coming in. There's an aha moment coming in. There is an ability to see where it is that we're moving away from certain aspects and we're moving closer to new ones. And all of this has to do with the rearranging, if you will, of our self-worth, of our priorities, of our values that we've been working on since about June of this year, when Venus entered into that Leo energy and, of course, retrograded in that energy as well. The moon in Capricorn energy, going to get into the boxing ring and square off with Mercury. Mercury is at the final degree of this Libran energy as the moon in Capricorn is at the final degrees of this Capricorn energy. This is the last aspect that the moon in Capricorn is going to make before going void, of course, and locking into that Aquarian energy. The moon is our emotional realm. Mercury is our mental realm. We're getting into the boxing ring, we're fighting it out because we're not on the same page in our heart space and in our head space. And even more than that, we are illuminating to where it is that the tension and conflict is existing between our emotions and our headspace in order for us to kind of feel that conflict, feel that tension, and illuminate for us what has to give, where we have to make a change, what it is that we have to really dive into and compromise in order for us to get that heart and head in alignment. So again, the moon goes void, of course, at 2:02. We lock into that Aquarian energy at 2:07 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. About half hour, 40 minutes later, we are going to have Mercury move into Scorpio energy. I am going to encourage you to listen to the astro forecast about this. This is the last event in the Libra season e-guide that you'll want to kind of capture and take note of. There is a lot of energy swirling and shifting here today. May I also remind you, we are still very much in this eclipse energy as well. We are not in control. We are acting as the observer, and Mercury moving into Scorpio energy is definitely going to reveal hidden layers of truth, of information, of clarity that's been hidden away from us. So definitely check out that particular astro forecast. The moon, now in Aquarius energy, going to make a positive interaction with Saturn. Saturn is the traditional ruler of Aquarius energy. Of course, Uranus is the modern day ruler. So anytime that we're interacting with a ruler of the energy that the moon is currently in, there's a little bit more impact there. Now, Saturn, the Lord of Karma, he rules over our roles and responsibilities, structures, foundations, the tough love life lessons that we have to learn. He is currently retrograde, taking all of that energy internally. And in Pisces energy, we are looking to deconstruct, to disassemble, to destroy the old parts of our belief system, the old parts of our old narrative, old conditioning, old version of self. Lucky for us, this is a positive interaction, so we're not going to be plagued with a lot of Debbie Downer, negative Nancy narratives. Instead, we are going to see a new possibility, a new path, a new alternative. We're going to see why it is that we had to struggle through some of the obstacles and challenges that we've been faced with in order to kind of close the door on old karmic chapters, in order for us to kind of grow into these new ones. We are shifting soul contracts as well. We are in this eclipse energy trying to figure out the timeline that is going to kind of be laid down before us. And Saturn, for the most part, is showing us where it is that we have done a lot of growth in our inner realm. And because of that, we're being presented with new choices that, of course, are going to lead us into new karmic lessons. The moon in Aquarius going to make a positive interaction with Chiron, the wounded healer, who of course is retrograde in Aries energy. Now, the whole Chiron retrograde in Aries energy is helping us to kind of attack the problematic areas inside of us, where our emotions are blocking us, where our memories are holding us back, where mental health issues or negative constructs, negative dialogues, negative narratives are really kind of skewing the perception of who it is that we actually are. We are trying to emerge as this brand new elevated version of self. We are kind of feeling imposter syndrome at this particular point in time. We are definitely doing a lot of the healing work, but we're really not giving ourselves a whole lot of credit for the work in which we've already done. The moon interacting with Chiron in this way, again, the moon in Aquarius acting as the observer, is definitely pushing the boundaries of our comfort zone, of our identity, of our personality, of our mood, of our attitude, and putting us in a situation where not only are we seeing how far it is that we've come, but we're almost excited for the challenges that we're now currently being faced with, because it means that we have a particular action that we can align with. We have a goal, we have an objective, we have a mission, we have a purpose, which we've been lacking for a very long time. So emotionally speaking, we're feeling like we are bossing up. We're feeling improved. We are feeling like we are being presented with new paths, new directions, new choices, new decisions. And we're finally feeling like we are in a space to actually rise to the challenge of these particular quests, and not so much just curled up in a ball as we have been. Mercury now in Scorpio energy, going to trine, beautiful interaction with Saturn, who is retrograde in Pisces energy. This is a very powerful aspect, especially coming right into Scorpio energy. This is the first aspect that Mercury is going to make with the Lord of Karma. And you best believe, because again, this is a trine, it's water on water action, we are about to get refreshed in a whole lot of different ways. We're getting renewed, we're getting cleansed, we are changing, we are transforming in the mental plane. First and foremost, we're having a different perspective. We're having a different illumination, if you will, on what it is that we're kind of growing up and glowing up into. This is going to kind of ground us out a little bit. Saturn, typically speaking, usually does give us a little bit of a reality check. And because we are now in Scorpio energy, it's a fixed water sign, we're looking to stabilize. Stabilize in our thoughts, stabilize in our ideas, in our narratives, in the way that we are expressing ourselves, communicating our inner realm to the outer realm. But there is this kind of, I'm going to say, flip-floppy area where just when we try to stay positive, we slip into that darkness, then we nip that in the bud, we build ourselves back up. We're trying to stay in a positive mind space. Now, what I love about this interaction is that Saturn, typically speaking, likes to give us processes, systems, foundations in order for us to build into new things. And so for the first time in a long time, we're gaining a little bit of perspective and clarity on the step-by-step process that we now have to take to get away from where it is that we're at and closer to where it is that we desire to be. So although this is going to come on a little bit intense, because again, Scorpio energy is very intense, very extreme, it is going to put a little bit of pressure on us to see where it is that we have certain expectations, either for ourselves or other people. It is a good idea to, again, practice balance. I know we're coming out of Libra now energy, where balance was the name of the game that many of us did not actually achieve and strive for. But in Scorpio energy, where extremes are amplified, it would be good to just kind of, pump the brakes a little bit and manage our energy correctly. So there is a little bit of a lesson in moderation coming from Mr. Saturn, because of course he needs to restrict us in a low and slow and steady fashion so that we're not jumping into things, we're not making mistakes, everything is well and carefully thought out as far as the energy and efforts that we are about to put forth to kind of break away from this funk and see ourselves moving closer to at this point, not very clear destination, but moving forward nonetheless. The moon in Aquarius energy, then going to make a positive interaction with Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money in that Virgo energy. So I actually love this because Aquarius energy, again, acting as the observer, giving us the bigger, broader picture. It's very visionary. While Venus, ruler of the heart space there, our happiness, our joy, our safety, security, and stability, she's in Virgo energy that likes to focus in on the smaller details. So it's almost as if we are giving ourselves permission to explore the greater, grander vision of what it is that we would like to be working towards. But then we have the ability to kind of capture that vision and then move into our heart space and break it down. What needs to happen? Who and what needs to stay? Who and what needs to go? What do we have to kind of adjust in our physical realms right now to align with the vision in which we're hoping to manifest? There is a lot of growth in our heart space. There are new values, new priorities, new goals, new wishes, new dreams coming online. And we do have the ability right now to kind of, again, grasp that greater, grander picture and then focus in on the smaller details on how it is that we're going to get there. Again, really relying on being heart-led. The moon is going to get into the boxing ring, though, with Mars. Mars is the god of war. He rules over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires. He's in his rulership in Scorpio energy, so everything is very emotional and intuitively, I'm going to say, triggered and activated. Where it is that new passions, new desires are being realized, are being acknowledged. Where it is that we want to take action and make moves, but intuitively and emotionally speaking, we know that we're not in the right place or in the right circumstances to do so. So we're just kind of wading in the waters, if you will, until we're gifted with the green light go ahead to actually, progress ourselves on a path in which is going to lead us to our desires. Now, this is a square, and a square illuminates tension and conflict. So emotionally speaking, we are in this Aquarian energy. We want to be better. We want to do better. We want to try new things. We want to bust away from the old. We want to initiate something new. We want to improve on our lives. The frustration, the tension, the conflict is coming because Mars, who would really enjoy to take action and make moves right now, kind of blocked by this eclipse energy. So the restlessness, the frustration, the pent up, I'm going to say aggression, sometimes frustration and anger of being kind of stalled out from making any kind of moves is getting to us at this point and can definitely put us in a not so great mood or attitude if we let this energy consume us. The moon in Aquarius energy going to semi-square, creating a minor tension and conflict with Neptune. So Neptune is retrograde in its place of power in Pisces energy. This is about our spiritual realm. This is about our dreams, our visions, our goals. This is about creativity, imagination. This has a lot to do with like the metaphysical realm. But of course, Neptune is retrograde, which means that we're having a hard time living in la la land. We're having a hard time aligning with our intuition. We're having a hard time dreaming a bigger dream. We're having a hard time doing all of those lovely things, connecting to our higher self, connecting to new visions and dreams, connecting to imaginative fantasy-like visions in order for us to manifest, because the retrograde energy is internalized. So instead of spending all of our time and energy and resources trying to conjure up a vision and a dream of what it is that we would like to be moving closer to, we have this energy forcing us to deal with the fallout, deal with the debris, deal with the loose ends, confront it. We have been in avoidance of dealing with reality. Reality is not fun. I get it. I understand. But Neptune retrograde is about us taking that energy inward and really examining where it is that we've been avoiding doing the hard things and what it is that we have to do to clear the slate in order for us to actually get back to aligning with our higher selves, tapping into new creative force energies. This is an essential time for us to kind of stop running from the darkest parts of us, especially seeing that we are moving into Scorpio season, which is all about shadow work, and really put an ending and a closure to some of these fragmented storylines, these fragmented aspects of our lives that are pretty much destroyed, but are still lingering in our physical realm. So the moon semi-squaring with Neptune is definitely putting us in a state of confusion. It's putting us in a state of avoidance. It's overwhelming us with the details on our to-do list that we have to kind of, confront and deal with before we can get back to la la land. And it doesn't feel good. And there is a trigger within us that wants to escape from this particular realm and reality altogether. The Pisces energy, of course, is the escape artist of the zodiac. We don't want to deal with real life. We want to kind of live in a fabricated land where everything is happy-go-lucky. But of course, reality is anything but that right now. And we have to do the right thing, which is often the hard thing, and clean up the debris so that we can move forward and we can align with La La Land once again. Venus is going to be making a very awkward interaction with Pluto. Pluto's the great transformer. He is now direct in this Capricorn energy in the final degrees, giving us about another, I'm going to say year-ish, to kind of not only clean up the mess that we've made by ending and closing the door on some of the particular aspects that have been holding us back and keeping us in a state of paralysis, but this is like the last hurrah to really look back and examine in our physical realms what still has to go, what still has to be dismantled, what still has to be destroyed. Of course, on the greater, grander scale, we understand where this is taking place because Capricorn energy rules over the greater, grander governing systems, if you will. But in our own lives, this is where we've been having a power struggle. This is where, long-term aspects, elements, relationship dynamics, whatever the case may be, where it is that certain foundations have fallen, where it is that they've come to a crumble for a reason. And we have to clean up that debris before we can get started on building the new elements that are going to take the place of the things that have already fallen apart and fallen away. Well, Venus in interacting with Pluto is a very interesting dynamic. First of all, we love Pluto energy interacting with Virgo energy that Venus is in because they both really focus on the psyche. They focus on the narrative, the dialogue, the looping pattern, fixated on the smaller details of what it is that we tell ourselves. And therefore, what it is that we focus on, what it is that we tell ourselves is what we manifest. Now, this is not the best interaction, but it's an interaction that's going to highlight for us what we still have to let go of, what we have to rearrange, what we have to destroy, what we have to build as far as our heart is asking us to do. Now, take you back, Venus's time from June up until, just recently when she moved into Virgo energy at the beginning of the month here, that's where we deconstructed the old version of self. That's where we got real and raw and vulnerable with ourselves. That's where we realized this new version of ourselves needs to come out to play, where we have new self-worth, self-love, self-value within ourselves. We understand what it is that makes us happy, what it is that we have to build, what it is that we have to create, what it is that we have to manifest in order to have a realm and reality that looks good and feels good, especially in alignment with our higher selves. So Venus interacting with Pluto in this way is giving us a little bit of a highlight on what it is that we still have to kind of put to an end, put to a death, destroy, in order for us to have that clean slate again, to start building better elements, more in alignment with our real, true, raw, authentic selves. The moon then going to square off in the boxing ring with Jupiter. So Jupiter is about growth and expansion. He is retrograde, internalizing that energy within us in this Taurus energy to see where it is that maybe we're resisting certain changes that we know that we have to make. Maybe we're stuck in a rut. Maybe we're still chasing a dream that really is not even in alignment with this new vibration, with this new version of self. The moon interacting with Jupiter in this way is really kind of putting a kerfuffle on the path that we want to be taking that will lead us to the most amount of growth. So instead of having an illumination, instead of having an epiphany, if you will, on what this next chapter may look like, instead we're kind of stuck on it. We're questioning whether or not we have what it takes to break away from the old constructs of the old version of self, the old realm, the old reality that the old version of self has created. We're not quite ready. We're not quite prepared as of yet to do the hard things that are going to be the major break in the system, if you will. And so right now we're just kind of overwhelmed. We're not feeling so optimistic. We're not feeling so positive. We're having a hard time, again, reminding ourselves of the greater, grander vision that we want to kind of work towards. And instead, we're kind of focused on the blockages, the problems, the issues that may prevent us in actually getting there. Mercury in the Scorpio energy going to make a beautiful interaction with Neptune, who is retrograde in Pisces energy. We have this beautiful interaction because this is water on water. And water is very cleansing, it's very healing, very refreshing, very renewing, very transformative. And right now, Mercury is the lower level of our intellect. Neptune is, I'm going to say, where we capture visions and dreams from the higher realms of intellect, source energy, if you will. So this is a game changer in our perspective, B, a new level of, I'm going to say, intuition coming in because of this water energy, C, an ability to actually kind of percolate on new dreams, new visions, on what it is that we want to kind of conjure up, what it is that we want to change, what it is that we want to build, what it is that we want to manifest. It is renewing our soul, our spirit in a certain way. It is kind of refreshing our perspective, if you will. And it's a good reminder on what it is that we're actually trying to build ourselves towards. The last thing that we have going on here today is the moon in Aquarius energy, making a positive interaction with the North Node in Aries energy. I love this. The North Node in Aries is trying to get us on the right path. That's the soul mission that we're now on, is to become more independent, to get to know ourselves again, to stand firm in our new identities, to really kind of take the leadership role in our lives and not be so dependent on other people. The moon in Aquarius, of course, allowing us to be emotionally detached, giving us the observer type of mentality, illuminating a bigger, broader perspective of the possibilities that we now have to move forward, to grow, to improve, to stray away from the path in which we've been walking that is very suffocating at this particular point in time, and really getting excited. I hesitate to use the word excited because of the funk that we're in, but excited nonetheless, on what it is that we actually have to choose from now. Again, we're still in eclipse season, so we do have to kind of, sit back and watch the cards fall, so to speak. But as far as new insights go, new perspectives go, new understandings go, this is putting us in a more empowered type of position compared to where it is that we've been over the last couple of months, in order to see the new path, the new possibilities, the new choices, the new decisions actually start to manifest, to kind of percolate in front of us, and to give us the information, the details that we've been lacking, that we have been needing in order to make a well-informed decision, actually coming to the forefront of our awareness. So this is a beautiful, beautiful aspect that, of course, moving into Scorpio season is definitely going to take us into the depths of our soul, of our spirit, to see what it is that we actually desire.